If Zach Edey's good right away, the Grizzlies have a chance to win the finals. And I think that's true. I genuinely do.
We started this by talking about McCain last night. The second game, oh boy.
Yeah, tell me. How do you feel? How you feeling about Zach Edey? How about those big screens he's going to set for John Morant? How excited does that get you? How's your bona?
I was absolutely over the moon watching this guy last night.
I'm so happy.
And it may not be the reason. So now I'm going to have to come to terms with you and me being on the same page, which is not an easy thing to do.
It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. You can come to my team. It's okay.
Our mutual love. And look, you did me so dirty with that video because now
it was good content.
It's great
Chris.
content.
It's great
but there
content.
are people out there that think like, oh, you hated this guy. I hated Kevin. I didn't want. The reason I said I'm going to disappear is because you love him. That's the reason. Not because I think the guy's a total bum. But I will say, of my questions about him, a lot of those are not going to be answered when it comes to summer league.
Of course.
That being said, he was going up against a real center in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
A guy that played for Team USA last summer in Walker Kessler. Say whatever you want about Walker Kessler. I'm sure everybody's going to fall in love with Walker Kessler as soon as he becomes a Knick, if that does end up taking place. That being said, he's a real 7-foot, legitimate, accomplished center in the NBA who they are commanding a first-round pick if he's going to get traded. But Walker Kessler's a good player. And so I thought it was going to be fascinating to see what it looks like in that setting. Now, it's twofold. One, you're playing against a guy who's a 7-footer who's also not stretching it out away from the basket. So the pressure that could be put on you defensively is not going to be the same because you are getting to guard a guy that is down on the blocks with you for the most part. But I will say, even if you look at the tip that he had at the very end, he's mowing right through Kessler.
Oh, so strong. He's overpowering
mowing through him to get that tip. He's not the closest man to the basket on that. And the things that I loved about watching him last night were, A, moved his feet very, very well. But most importantly, he dove on the floor for a loose ball. He talked shit.
The intensity.
And when there was a little tussle underneath the basket, he was right there bumping the guy that was in the tussle. And I'm like, okay, this guy is going to really fit in. I mean, and here's I will tell, I'm going to warn everybody about this because I already saw him tapping his head and all that crap last night and getting up in guys' faces and talking kind of wild. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to tell you better be ready for this. Because there is nobody in the world that gasses people up like John Morant. He's that guy that's at the front, and he's the one talking crazy. And then all of a sudden, everybody else starts talking crazy, right? And they all take on this personality. If he's already got that, and then this guy's throwing up lobs to him, or he's going in and throwing it high off the backboard and missing it. And now he's coming in and cramming on two guys. And now you're going to have a little running buddy that's talking crazy too, along with you, and he's gassing you up. This guy may be insufferable by the time it's done because he can dunk on everybody. And now between the two of them, oh, I could see a beautiful shit-talking partnership, to say the least. And the other thing was,
you can say they together can say we're fine in the West.
Yeah, there's two things. Number one, they never threw him the ball, and I think part of it is, I think part of it is nobody plays basketball that way anymore. Nobody. Nobody throws it down to the center for an easy bucket. It just doesn't
Entry pass.
happen.
What's that?
And I'm actually going to defend guys on one level. How many have they ever thrown in? How many times do you think G.G. Jackson has thrown a post-entry pass? Like, I even remember
less than 10 in his life.
Well, so, obviously I covered a team with Jonas Valanciunas a couple of years ago, and he was a guy that you could throw it down to the post. You could run turn 5, which is a clear out for the center, and you could throw it down to him. But the guys that could do it, they were all like these like old soul kind of guys. The kind of guys that you think about that are would have been fine playing in the 80s. The Tyus Joneses of the world can throw those passes, and the Kyle Andersons of the world that can throw those passes. But then the rest of the team, it was a damn debacle. If you just needed to throw the ball into the post, it's like nobody practices that. It's just not how basketball is played.
How about Jake LaRavia? You think he can throw an entry pass?
No. LaRavia is, I guess he could, but look, Summer League's the worst place in the world for bigs in most cases because you're trying to.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to get their shots off. Everybody's taking a bunch of threes. And
for sure.
I got to be honest, if it weren't for Zach Edey being something to behold and playing well, that game would have been, it was. If you took Zach Edey out of that, you could show the film of that to terrorists to get them to give up their secrets. And just turn it off. Turn it off. It had 68 fouls, bro. 68 fouls. That is
gross game.
It's unwatchable.
Even the Keontae George stat line, 30 points. Big game. But 5 of 21 from the field, 17 of 19 from the free throw line. It was only fitting that the game ended with the target score with him at the free throw line. Like, it's just the only way that game could have ended. It was disgusting.
Keontae George had 19 free throws in that game. Who am I to complain about Summer League refs? Now, figure this one out. How did Keontae George take 19 free throws and Zach Edey took 0? That's impossible. We're getting Summer League refs, and it was the whole thing. It stunk. The game was just a mess.
That's Summer League.
It was
Summer
cool
League
to
is
see
gross basketball.
Seeing a 7'4" guy there, and I do think that if it's first impression time, the first impression could not have been any better. It couldn't have been any better.
Yes.
The guy rebounded his position.
Yes.
The guy could move his feet, and he was fun to watch, man. He was fun to watch. Also, they didn't get him any shots, so you kind of figure, it is going to be different for him, where you're running up and down the court a lot, and you're probably not getting a ton of shots because you're what? At best, you're probably taking the 4th amount of shots, probably. You're certainly behind Morant, Bane, and Jackson, and then who knows how many Smart's going to take some shots. And so I don't know how many shots a game Zach Edey's going to be taking, but I will tell you this. He'll take a bunch just off of offensive rebounds and putting it back in. He is night one was good. Night one was good. I got to tell you, that's a big win for you. Steal of the draft, rookie of the year, favorite.
I saw our guy Haralabob Vulgaris. He made a post recently about the Grizzlies assistant coach that they hired, one of the better overseas coaches, an innovator on the offensive end of the floor, and he said how that might be the most underrated signing of the summer. And Grizzlies also, yes, Tumas, and the Grizzlies made multiple changes on their coaching staff. Obviously, they got rid of everybody besides Anthony Carter, and they hired a brand new staff. And I responded to Haralabob. I said, well, if Zach Edey's good right away, the Grizzlies have a chance to win the finals. And I think that's true. I genuinely do think the Grizzlies are one of those teams that belong in that lump of teams that have a chance to win it all. And that has to do with, obviously, Josh staying out there, Jaren Jackson continuing to progress, Zach Edey being good right away because you need your 5 in a lot of different playoff series. So I do think the Grizzlies, with Ja back out there, assuming he's on the same trajectory he was on before, there's a real chance this is like one of those like from worst to first types of seasons. Not trying to get you too excited, Chris, but it is the way I feel about Memphis.
Look, they were the 2 seed 2 years in a row, and everybody has forgotten.
Exactly. It's not outrageous to say. It really isn't. I don't think it's a hot take by any means. I think it's a very sensible take, to be honest with you.